So I went and got a really nice shirt and wore a hat because my hair is just all over the place. I'm kind of growing it out, but this isn't the point of the video. But just to introduce myself and my as extremely authentic as I can be, that is why I'm making this video. Nowadays, people connect through many different ways, and one of those ways is putting themselves out there on social media. And I'm one of those people that has always been talkative. I have put myself in really difficult circumstances that most people can't come out of because of the way I think and the way I speak and who I speak to and in what tone and what am I talking about. I'm 28 years old, and I saw an opportunity for myself because I talk so much and I talk about so many deep things to be like, let me put it out there because people in my life kind of like don't have time for it. People that are in my family or my friend groups or throughout my life have always just been more, they haven't been as interested. And I've realized from posting things on TikTok or Instagram or speaking to strangers where people actually really like the conversations I get myself into. And this is why I'm making long form content on YouTube. So this is going to be my first video. And dude, dude or dudette or girl, whoever's watching, whatever age you are, I'm going to keep it as PG as possible because personally, I don't like cursing because I prefer a healthy environment. And I believe that using certain languages or certain emotions can cause dysfunction in the environment. So I'm going to do my best to just not curse, right? Sometimes I will. So this is the real world, and sometimes you just can let loose. But to anybody watching right now, this is my first video, and I'm gonna be as authentic as possible. You know those streamers that just let it go? They don't edit anything? I'm basically gonna make YouTube videos where I don't edit. And I'm not gonna be here selling you anything, but the only thing that I am selling, if I'm selling, is for you to know what someone can go through and still come out successful in the eyes of God. Whatever you believe in, God is very loving, and that's who I see him as, and even more than that, but I'm just going to keep it at that. Being successful in the eyes of God, the eyes of your parents, and being successful in the eyes of people who love you. Bro, I look so old in this video. It's crazy. Like, what's going on with my freaking skin? And then there are people who love you regardless of what you earn, but there's people who will hate you regardless of what you earn. So I will advise anybody to never risk yourself not being who you are for the sake of people who want you to be quiet and to want to listen to you or hear you out. I've dealt with these people my whole life. That's why I'm talkative. I love talking. I love taking actions. And sometimes you got to balance, because when you're a talker, you got to balance action. So if I am selling something, I'm selling to you to be yourself and be your best self. And this is my first video. I want you to be in this long term with me. I want to be in this long term with myself. I have a goal. I have a greater mission, is to, at this age, a fine age of 28 years old, that I'm able to develop a 10-year long career. Excuse me. I swear I try to keep that as quiet as possible. But anyways, what was I saying? I don't want to edit any of this. I want to come on here and talk about things that make each other better. Whatever you're struggling with, whatever I can share you, what I've struggled with and what I'm doing in my life now to make a difference, even if that's an intention. What matters the most is that you're on here, on YouTube, you're finding this video and you're here to say, hey, I want a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I'm drowning in debt or I'm drowning in my problems, and I want to go to somebody that can give me evidence that you can make it out. And you can make it out in such a way that life is just paradise after all these problems. I mean, to be realistic, life is always full of struggles. All right? Sorry, I'm at work right now, so I gotta check. Anyways, who am I? Look, my background, I'm Pakistani, I'm Pashtun, and I'm American. And my political views are very interesting, but overall, I am always hoping to be on the right side of history. I'm somebody that grew up 10 years in Peshawar, Pakistan. Um, and I grew up around a really huge family. I had like hundreds of cousins on my mother's side, and uh, like a good amount of people around me. My father was in politics at a young age. My father was an entrepreneur. I had an example of a very successful father and someone who worked his butt off to get us to the position we are. For 10 years, I didn't see much struggle until I came to America and I saw both my parents struggling and working at a 9 to 5. Could barely pay attention to us because they had to pay attention to their bills of the house. My mother, who didn't get beyond a high school education, showed me the blessing of what it means to have a sincere heart. And my father showed me what the blessings of having an education and choosing the path that you want to go on and investing yourself and taking risk and learning things about this world. Eventually, you will know how to play the game of life. And I've seen people fail in my life. I've seen people succeed. I have 3 older siblings, and I'm a very personal guy. I can allow anybody into my personal life as long as it keeps things strong and healthy, and it's not just venting and going to waste. As long as there's any personal information of my life to share and it benefits both of us, anyone listening, then I will. And it's interesting, I've been on this for 6.5 minutes, and I'm like, TikTok is only 2 minutes long, so I'm doing what I know is going to be trending in the next 2-3 years, where people are going to get sick of short-term content and go straight to long-term, and they want to get close to individuals. I'm going to post my TikTok on YouTube, and then you'll see short-term content and you'll see long-term content. And this is for me this video, this first beginning, version video is going to be about just who I am. So that really makes you think, who the hell am I? So yeah, 10 years in Pakistan, grew up with a lot of people, 2 great examples in front of me, examples of success and failure, 3 older siblings being the youngest. And in my personal journey, since I was a young kid, I've been watching, television just like every other kid, and playing video games, starting with the PlayStation 1 and starting with my favorite movies like Fast and Furious in Pakistan, in a 3rd world country where people in America barely knew that we speak fluent English in those countries until it was broadcasted that America's at war with these countries. But anyways, we had a very affluent culture, and we were very, we were cultured in Western television and Bollywood and all this stuff. So we were very multiverse and multicultural. So I grew up watching American movies and television and music, like Eminem and 50 Cent were my favorite, So coming to America, I was born here. I was born in New York City, but I didn't spend much time there. I've had family in New York my whole entire life, and I saw them when I came to the United States at 12 years old. Now, you might be wondering, why is he sharing all this? Because you'll see in the next 10 videos why this story is important, why your story is important, why I'm going to be an example to show you that your story is and has the ability to make you a valuable and a leader and somebody that represents a greater truth and a greater story, So 12 years old, I came to Manassas. My mother's never worked in her life, and my father spent 2 years before we came to America, in America with my brother, building a middle-class life. They came with nothing, and they started building a career through working odd jobs and became very successful in bringing their family here. And we came here, and I spent 3 years in a town in Virginia, Northern Virginia, that was mostly ghetto, and it was a very huge culture shock. And from that middle school 2-3 years, I went to a town in Northern Virginia, which is actually the most successful county in the country, and I basically went straight into a very diverse culture, but it was more whitewashed. And not to say it's negative, but it was a lot more white people, and I never experienced that. So I went through many different versions of cultures and exposure, and I would go from Virginia to New York consistently and experiencing the nightlife, experiencing very, very educated, smart intellectuals and socially successful people. Uh, Met so many people in my life that have taught me, and I've taught them in a certain way, that we've been there for each other to just go and conquer life, conquer your story. You know, in high school, I was heavily smoking pot, and I had no religion. I'm a Muslim, and I had religion in the sense of, my mother would say go pray or teach us a couple of things, but not from a teacher. And I had no religion. But in in high school, I basically started smoking heavy pot. I wasn't focused on classes at all. I wasn't passing my classes. All my teachers would be like, "You're the smartest kid in class." I mean, I'm not trying to get, that's exactly what some teachers would say, and I just wasn't applying myself. Things would go in one ear and out the other. That was like the common thing, and I just did not apply myself. But I did graduate, and I graduated the bottom 10 in my senior class. And I know someone's going to watch this video from my family and say, why are you mentioning these things? But I think it's important to tell you who I am and tell you how success does become, even though I may not be a fluent millionaire right now, fluent in money, fluent in connections, and rich in resources, but eventually you will see that. You will see that through your phone, and you will see me become that. Just to relate a little bit to my childhood, I wanted to become a successful musician. I wanted to be a rapper, and that was something that I didn't know was a part of me, but every day in high school and middle school, the one thing I would do was always listen to music. And listening to music, I just like writing. And in high school and middle school, I would just write things, and I was like all over the page, and there was lines that didn't make sense. My English was off. I was using words that maybe I didn't know the meaning of, or they would just come and I would just write them. But it had a richness to it. It had an authentic, raw style to it. And I went from not knowing what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know what I wanted to become. Like most brown parents would tell you, you need to do this, you need to become a doctor, go do whatever. My parents said, do whatever you want, just be successful. And then they supported me, but it was very difficult graduating high school, the bottom of your class, and seeing everybody around you getting scholarships and graduating and knowing at least somewhat of what they want to do as a career. And I just wanted to make music. And at the age of 19, I was attending a university that was a community college. And for 2 years, I was by myself. My friends had kind of just went their own way, and I had nobody to text, nobody to call. I knew so many people, but it wasn't like we were close to anybody. I wasn't close to anybody except my cousins that were upstate New York, but I had no real fluent connections that I could always rely on. And that's really difficult for a young man that needs connections, that needs mentors, and needs examples to continue following in life and be around. And I didn't have any of that, and no one ever came around and said, yo, let me talk to you, let me befriend you, you seem cool. I was never a person that caused problems with people. I knew how to talk, I still know how to talk, and I always gave my best. I always showed up for people, but many people didn't show up for me. And one sec. I'll be right back. So back to what I was saying is that at this time period, I was between 17 to 19, and I was attending community college, and this was basically my reality. I wanted to be a musician, and I was also studying tech at the same time. And at some point at 17, I went to Umrah, which is a religious journey to Mecca, and it changed my entire life. Like, I came back ready to stop all these different baloney things that I was doing, and the way I was talking, and what I was believing in, and I just went straight to what was the greatest order that I could follow. And I did that. And then right after I accepted to change my life, I swear to God, I was sitting down looking at the sun. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be successful. And I'm gonna change my life, right? Because at the same time, I come from success. I've come and seen success on many different levels. And what I saw in myself and what I was doing did not feel, or well, I always felt I was going to be successful, and I am successful, but I didn't have the proof, right? The proof was just like terrible, but it was like talking out of my ass, to be honest with you, but went for it anyways. But at that same time, when I came back from this journey and I decided to change my life, and I'm about to reorganize my entire schedule and start going towards this mission that I have to change whatever I don't like in the world and benefit people that are struggling and be there for other people. So there's certain qualities to my mission, right? So anyways, right as I accepted that, I went through a serious schizophrenic episode. And I basically was on this episode for a long time. And this episode caused psychiatrists to come into my life, or many altercations to happen, and me developing this personality that is not my own and very aggressive and violent. And it was schizophrenic. I was hearing things. I was emotionally unhinged and emotionally just, up and down. It was horrible. And I know many people who somebody that's been through this, but you don't know many people who've been through this and come back stronger and better. And I'm one of those people that can be a representation to people that go through mental health struggles. And I'll tell you, there is a way out, because I was somebody that wanted to, end myself and end my life because there was just the obstacle just felt like I'm not important. I'm not important to my mission. I'm not important to anybody. I'm just someone that should be thrown out. And that's that's what the reality was. And basically, I left school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just on medicine to recover and all this other stuff. And I gained a lot of weight. I've always been good weight. I've always looked good my whole life. And I just gained a lot of weight because of the medicine. And I was just in recovery mode. And that was in 2019, right? So now it's 2025. So the past 4 or 5 years, I've done nothing but do my best to develop myself, and find that same mission that I really wanted to conquer, of being someone that creates a better life for the people I care about and people that I'll touch in my life, that I'm able to give them benefit of the doubt that there is a way out and there is ways out of your problem. And I'm always going to be there for people. And I was basically choosing something as a life coach, but I never wanted it to be a title or make money out of it. I wanted it to be through my music, or through me interacting with people, just being there for them and developing relationships. But because we're in a capitalistic world and it's a lot of consumerism, I decided to, why not create something where I'm able to create a platform, or use my platform to create this place for people that are currently maybe going through the same thing I went through in 2019, maybe have similar dreams, maybe have certain missions, maybe have certain beliefs about themselves, maybe have certain realities that they want to challenge, and they don't want to get stuck in a society that does not bring them out of their misery. I want to be that person to tell you that I'm here for you. And my story is going to be an example for you to look at somebody and say, yeah, I can do that too. If he can do that, I can do that. Me, of course, I'm being somebody from my background, from my religion, from my faith, from my physical stature, from the way I look, from all different type of variations of what I represent. Someone was an example for me, so I'm going to be an example for somebody else. And this is the beginning of my YouTube page. This is the beginning of my streaming world. This is the beginning of everything I want to do. And whether you love me, whether you hate me, you are going to be a part of this. You are going to see how you can start this same journey. You can use your story to lift up as many mountains as possible and bring something out of it. I haven't even gone to the details of the experiences I've had. I've only given you a brief description. Very brief, not even properly ordered. But yeah, the one thing that I definitely want from any impact that this video makes is the fact that you just look at it and say, okay, cool, we'll see what happens. And I love challenges. I'm just being my authentic self, and to put myself on TikTok, in the music stream, in my work life, what I do in tech, I'm starting to go back to school to get my degree again. I have an associate's, but to go from that to what I'm gonna go towards, that's probably for another video. But if you like watching stories, you like watching people be their better self, and you like watching people conquer their challenges and prey on top of the mountains that was trying them, then I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe, and you'll be watching another video very soon.